Hello, welcome. Good to see you all on the call tonight. My name is Christine Francoeur. I'm a member of the committee, the Wellness Through Mindfulness group. I'm happy to welcome you all tonight, and I will be the host for your evening tonight. So it's my pleasure just to give you a bit of an introduction about Wellness Through Mindfulness and, of course, Dr. Paula Fayerman and tonight's talk. So tonight's talk, as I mentioned, is being offered to you through a local Calgary group called Wellness Through Mindfulness, or as we refer to it, WTM for short. This group was created in 2015, and we would meet about twice a month at the Shaganappi Community Center with the intention to offer free programs on mindfulness and other related relevant topics by talented practitioners around the city. But given the nature of our world right now, we've actually brought these programs online with the Calgary Public Library. So to learn how it all got started, and if you'd like a bit of history on us, you can visit us at the website, thebreathproject.org. And so for specific details around WTM, you'll find us at wtm.thebreathproject.org. So it's just like a subset of that website. Maya actually typically in the past has provided a link for you in the comments. So if you'd like to click from there, you can always save it and you'll read more about us. There you'll find all of our summaries on our talks, as well as previous teachings that we've shared. So there's recordings of other guided meditations. It's a great resource if you're looking to maybe catch up on previous talks, or if you have a favorite guided meditation you'd like to do again with one of the teachers, it will be there for you. So big thanks to the Calgary Public Library and the technical team, you, Maya, for bringing this together, and Patrick Mealy, as well as Katie Radke, for really providing us this opportunity to be able to continue our programs and offer them to the public online. It's been so helpful and so beneficial. So our presentations are actually twice a month. They're on the first and third Thursday of every month, and we go from 7 till 8:30. And if you'd like to learn about any upcoming events that we have, you can visit the Calgary Library website. Just go to the search button and put in mindfulness, and there you'll see a list of upcoming topics that we'll be hosting. So coming up specifically on May 6th, the first Thursday of May, it feels good to say that, May is a topic called Wait as a Path of Mindfulness, and this will be led by Dr. Phil Bluestein. And when you're faced with a challenging moment, you may want to remind yourself to wait. Ask, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking this? And what am I trying to do? So a great topic to explore on the path of mindfulness. And then the following third Thursday of May, we will have Mindfulness for Parenting with Dr. Nicole Libben. But tonight, we have Dr. Paula Fayerman using iREST meditation for anxiety. Dr. Paula Fayerman was a busy and stressed medical student in the 1980s when she started yoga for relaxation, stretching, and exercise. And then in the late 1990s, after experiencing meditation, her investigations expanded from the movement, the asanas of yoga, into reflection on mind consciousness, body, energy, and trauma. So her main studies have included mind training using methodologies from yoga and Buddhist traditions, body movement systems, including Feldenkrais, somatics, and yoga asana, experiential energy disciplines such as Qigong, traditional Chinese medicine, and Eden energy medicine. Also, contemporary psychology and trauma theory and practice, including somatic experiencing. To further her inquiry into healing, Paula completed the program of integrated medicine through the University of Arizona. Her personal challenges and difficulties really have been a stimulus for her studies. Her daily practices of meditation and movement really have confirmed for her confidence in the great wisdom and compassion teachings. She trusts these have had much to contribute to her understanding of health and healing. But tonight, She will be exploring with us iREST, and iREST is an integrative restoration meditation practice developed by Dr. Richard Miller, and it's based on the ancient practice of yoga nidra. iREST has been used for coping with stress, insomnia, anxiety, and depression. Tonight's practice, like Maya mentioned, will include a talk as well as meditation to connect, to help us really find that connection to the present moment. So as Maya mentioned, please feel free to input your questions into the chat box. But with that, I really do welcome Dr. Paula Fayerman. Hello.
Hello. Thank you, Christine. So nice to see you over Zoom. Can everyone hear me okay? Is the sound all right? Yes, okay. There she goes. Oh, there I am. Wow. I've got to thank everyone so much for coming tonight. Just welcome, welcome. You know, there's so many different things that we can do during our busy days, and the fact that we've all just taken this time to take care of ourselves is really wonderful. So welcome. And
Paula,
yes.
Paula, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you please increase your volume a little bit? Our attendees are having a hard time hearing.
I wondered, how do I do that?
Yeah, so at the bottom of your computer, you will have a taskbar, and there is a little icon for a speaker. If you click on that speaker icon, you will be able to move with your mouse the volume to go up.
Okay, there's an icon for speaker at the bottom.
At the bottom right of your taskbar of your screen. Can you see at the bottom of your screen?
Yes, I have reactions, pause, stop recording, share screen.
Below
share.
that.
Below that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just take this off of full screen. Sorry about this, everyone. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, thank you. So just take off the full screen, and then you will be able to access your computer taskbar at the very bottom. And you will see a couple of little icons, and you will see the time, and then next to the time, left to the time, there should be an icon to the speaker.
You know what? I cannot access that bar. I'm sorry. How do you access that bar?
Okay, well, there is another way, but you know, when you come closer to your computer, we can hear you better.
I'll just bring, is that better?
Yes, much better.
Okay, I'll leave it like that. Is that fine?
This is excellent.
Okay, we should have tested this, Maya. Thank you so much for your technical support. We were having no trouble hearing each other before. So thanks everyone for their patience with this. That's great. Wow, that's technology, you know, throws you, Zoom. But I was welcoming everyone, and I was thanking everyone, thanking Christine and thanking Maya so much for her work. I want to do a special thank you to Phil for organizing WTM, Wellness Through Mindfulness. He does a really wonderful job with that. And I remember meeting in his living room a number of years ago. I think there were 12 or 15 of us, and where this organization has gone since then is just phenomenal. So congratulations to the Wellness Through Mindfulness people and group. And I also want to thank the Calgary Public Library, because, you know, it's such an amazing thing for us to have this service in this age where we all are interested in owning things privately. Here we have this amazing organization where everything is offered to us for free, where we have access to so much knowledge and wisdom and books and videos and these evenings. So thank you to the Calgary Public Library. This talk is on anxiety and iREST, or integrative restoration, and you heard a little bit of introduction from Maya and from Christine. And I would just tell a little bit more about iREST. iREST stands for, I stands for integration. Integration means bringing it all together. REST obviously stands for resting. And REST also stands for restoration. So it's like an integration and a restoration of our whole system. And this was developed as part of a practice from a psychologist named Dr. Richard Miller. He's out of Sebastopol, California. And if you want to Google iREST, I, capital R-E-S-T, or Richard Miller, you will find hundreds of practices. There are practices for anxiety, for insomnia, for stress reduction. There are basic practices just to learn the process. And Richard Miller has done a wonderful job over the last 30 years developing this program. It is based on the ancient teachings of yoga, and specifically the teachings of Yoga Nidra. Now, yoga means union or togetherness, and Nidra means sleep. So this is about learning togetherness or our unitive states when we are in a state of consciousness that's maybe not sleep, but that accesses the same neurophysiology or the same brain processing as sleep. So we get into a relaxed state to integrate and restore. And so that's the process of iREST. So if you're interested in iREST, please go to the website, iREST website. They do a wonderful job with a lot of different recordings. And I've been studying with Richard since the early 2000s and have done quite a number of workshops with him and trainings with him, and have enjoyed this practice very much. And also I would say that my practice is also influenced from other Buddhist teachings. So iREST comes from the yoga tradition, and I'm also very much influenced by Buddhist tradition. And specifically, many teachers that have studied in the East, and also now coming to the West. So studied in India or Theravada, from Burma, and these teachers came and taught Buddhist practice in the West. In fact, just this last weekend, I was on a retreat call, Zoom retreat, with two of my favorite teachers, Jack Kornfield and Daniel Siegel. And they were doing a presentation about mindfulness practice on the one hand, which Jack Kornfield is a mindfulness Theravadan Buddhist teacher. And Daniel Siegel is a psychiatrist who has studied a lot of the neurochemistry of attachment issues in childhood, as well as the advantages of meditation. And he calls his practice MindSight. So those are other really good resources, and Christine will put those resources up later if you're interested in more meditation and some of the fundamental teachings. Now, this talk is about anxiety, and I have to tell you that when I was on this call, on this Zoom program with Jack Kornfield and Dan Siegel, I was thinking about this talk. I was thinking, why am I doing this talk? I mean, these people should be watching these masters. Jack Kornfield and Dan Siegel have been teaching for so long, and they express these teachings so beautifully. I mean, why should I do this talk? You know, this anxiety rose in me, right? So anxiety actually serves a purpose. It can help us motivate ourselves and get us prepared for something that we have to do. But it also can switch us over into paralyzed fear. And I'm assuming that many of the people who came are watching this talk have experienced anxiety. So I'm assuming that a lot of us are interested in this topic of anxiety and how we can best approach anxiety and heal it in ourselves. So as I was thinking about this, how am I going to do this talk, given that there's so many other good teachers around? I could feel the anxiety in myself. And if you've experienced anxiety, you know there's certain physical symptoms that happen. The heart can beat fast, and we can feel flutters in our chest or in our abdomen. Our mouth can get dry. Our palms can get sweaty. Our jaw can get tense. So a lot of physical symptoms can happen. And that's sometimes how we can recognize the first signs of anxiety, just when they start to happen before they get too overblown. So I was thinking about this, and then all of these thoughts came. So often anxiety is associated with thoughts, beliefs, and physical symptoms. These are the components of what makes us human. We have thoughts, we have beliefs, we have physical symptoms, we have emotions. And all of these are all connected. Emotions aren't just something that happen. They are in our body and in our mind. They are in our physiology, in our neurology, in our nervous system, in our endocrine system, and in our muscles, in our skeleton. So when we're working with anxiety, we work with body sensations and we work with mind, beliefs, and thoughts. So I was experiencing these feelings, thinking, what am I going to be doing teaching? And then thoughts would come into my mind. Thoughts like, I'm not as good as Jack and Dan. I don't have the experience. I haven't never taught a Zoom meeting before. And I've certainly never taught to, there's 55 people on the call. This is going to be a new experience for me. I'm scared. Anxiety is rising. And then there's more and more beliefs that can start happening. I'm not good enough. I'm not going to be able to teach them well. I'm not going to make it understandable. This kind of thinking just can go and go and go and go and go. And then we're lost. We're lost. We're unable to function. We're unable to do the task at hand. You can imagine that if I sat with all of these thoughts and these fears, I would never be able to be here right now. So what was my process? How did I do it? I sat with myself. I sat with myself in the meditation, what I've learned over all of the years that I've studied, and I felt into my body. I felt into myself, gave myself compassion for the anxiety and fear that I was feeling to do something new. Because it's normal to feel anxiety and fear when I'm going to try something new. That's a normal process. And then I examined all of the thoughts that were going on. And I wondered, are these true? Is this really the way it is? I felt trust in myself and courage, confidence that I would be able to deliver a talk that would be helpful for someone. Maybe one person would be able to gain some benefit. So then I gathered more confidence and my anxiety settled, slowed, relaxed, released. Even right now, as I speak, I can feel that I'm anxious. My heart is beating a little fast. My hands are cold. I'm working with myself even as I talk to slow my breathing, settle myself, feel myself on the seat. These are kinds of things that we can work with. Now, anxiety, as it's coming up in a day-to-day basis, serves a really normal function. It's on this scale. We have anxiety, then we have outright fear and panic, but it's also on the same scale as excitement and alertness and motivation. So there's a wide range, there's a wide scale, and anxiety can speak to us about moving us towards something to do, something to be, if it doesn't go into an overwhelm or an overload. And I'm sure many of us have felt that when anxiety is too much and too big and too hard to cope with. And so if that is the case, then sometimes we do what we call dissociation. Dissociation is, the way I word it is, it's like you check out. You're no longer able to be present for yourself. It's like you're gone. You're checked out. You can't bring yourself back to the task at hand. You kind of get confused or panicky. You feel maybe an out of body or a strange sensation. And the anxiety gets worse, because to really work with ourselves, we actually have to be checked in. We can't be checked out to work with emotions and thoughts and beliefs. So one of the first things to do when we're working with anxiety is to recognize, are we checking out or are we able to check back in? Are we dissociating or are we able to stay with ourselves? And if we're dissociating, then we need to learn some very, very skillful means, very, very strong skills to actually be able to recognize checking out and to be able to recognize coming back in. So tonight is a very, a 1.5 hour talk and practice, and we can gain so much from that. And I would say, if you're having significant issues with anxiety and dissociation, you're checking out and you're having symptoms that are really tough to cope with, then it's really worthwhile to work one-on-one with someone. So you could work with a psychotherapist or a physician or someone that you feel will help you learn these skills of coming back in if you're dissociating. So if we're really anxious, very panicky, sometimes meditating or using a practice like iREST is not great. We just can't get there. So we have to do other things to shift our states. One thing to do is just run your hands under hot or cold water. Get yourself back into your body. So run your hands and use your hands like this. So you're really feeling your hands. You feel your hands. You're feeling your body. You're coming back to be with yourself. Anxiety can be overwhelming and it can be really difficult to work with, but it also has a message. It also has some things to teach us. And Christine, if you would like to put up that quotation from Rilke, this is one of the things that I always remembered when I was working with anxiety or depression for myself. A quotation from Rilke. Rainer Maria Rilke was an author. He writes, "We have no reason to harbor any mistrust against our world, for it is not against us. If it has terrors, they are our terrors. If it has abysses, these abysses belong to us. If there are dangers, we must try to love them. And if only we arrange our life in accordance with the principle which tells us that we must always trust in the difficult, then what now appears to us as the most alien will become our most intimate and trusted experience. How could we forget those ancient myths that stand at the beginning of all races? The myths about dragons that at the last moment are transformed into princesses. Perhaps all the dragons in our lives are princesses who are only waiting to see us act just once with beauty and courage. Perhaps everything that frightens us is, in its deepest essence, something helpless that wants our love." So here we are tonight, acting with our beauty and our courage, because to be here, to be questioning if you have anxiety and you're looking for ways to alleviate some of the issues with anxiety, that takes beauty and that takes courage. So I commend all of you. And if there's one thing that you get out of this talk, fabulous. I would be so happy. Just one way to calm yourself, one way to soothe yourself, one way to bring yourself back in. All right. So that's a brief summary about anxiety and a couple of things to do to bring ourselves back. Washing our hands in hot or cold water helps bring us back if we're really panicky. Listening to music, reading poetry, watching comedies, doing all kinds of things can really help the break, or not break, but shift the states. And then there's lots of other really wonderful movement practices from the ancient traditions of Chinese medicine and Qigong. And if you're willing, I would love to lead us in a few of these movement practices tonight. So you could do these movement practices sitting or standing. And if you're alone, you can make sounds, because there's nothing like sounds to help shift states and change anxiety. So let's do a few movements. Now, I'm not going to stand up, but please feel free to stand up. So the first movement is kind of called the throwdown. So the throwdown is, if I'm going to imagine, I'm going to tap the back of my shoulders. I'm going to imagine I've got a big, heavy backpack. I'm carrying the weight of the world on my backpack. Oh, things are really tough. I'm going to take my hands, make fists, take my hands, and imagine I'm taking that backpack off and I'm throwing it to the ground. And I'm breathing in. And as I throw it, I'm going to breathe out and make a whooshing sound like So let's grab the backpack. Inhale. Now, sit down, stand up, and just feel how you feel. Sometimes we get a lot of oxygen when we're breathing in and breathing out like that. It can make us feel a little dizzy. It can make us feel a little tingling. It can make our heart rate a little bit high. Let's just see how it feels. There's another way to do the throwdown. I call it the blowout. It's called the blowout in energy medicine. So I'm going to imagine I'm gathering all the anxiety. I'm just gathering. I'm going to make my fists. And if you need to make your fists strong, make your fists strong so you can feel them. You want to be able to feel your body. You want to be able to feel your hands. So make fists, and then you're going to throw it down to the floor and make a sound. And there's many sounds in the tradition of Qigong that we can use. We'll just play with a few. So I'm going to make some sounds. If you're sensitive to sound, loud sound, I'm sorry. But making the sound loud, rah, really helps to move these emotions through this physical system. So let's gather. You can actually, I'm not going to move my video, but you can actually gather all the way down from your feet, from your legs, from your knees, from your upper legs, your pelvis, your abdomen, your chest, your shoulders, up your head, and then we're going to throw it down with a ha or H-A sound. Ha! Gather, gather, gather. Ha! Gather, gather, gather. Ha! How's that? I've got a bit of a light head. Let's use a different sound. Let's use a sh or a sh, SH sound. Sh. Sh is what we use when we are comforting the baby. Shh. Shh. So let's use that sound as we throw down. We'll gather, gather, gather. Let's make a fist and go shh. And as I'm throwing down, when I get down, I'm releasing. So I open my fists and I release. Let's gather, 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 make a fist and say, shh. And release the fist down to the ground. Do that once or twice more on your own. Gather any emotions, any anxiety, anything that's not serving you. Bring it up, gather it, bring it up into your palms, into your fists, and then release it with a sound. Use whatever sound you want. Sounds work so well for releasing emotions and energy, feelings. How are you doing? You trying some of this? I wish I could see you all, but I can't. I'm just looking at myself. It's like I'm teaching myself. We always need to remind ourselves about these things, right? So that's the throwdown and the blowout. There's a lot of other techniques that can be used. Another nice technique is taking one hand, the birds like that, taking one hand and drawing it down across your chest to the opposite hip, and then off. And as we're doing this, we're giving ourselves some relaxation and some comfort, some care. It's okay. Even though I'm anxious, it's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. Crossing over, crossing over, crossing over from the shoulder to the opposite hip. It's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. So that's a crossover. Another thing that's very nice is to massage these points right by the temples. And I'm sure many people who've had headaches would massage these points if they had a headache. These are very good and useful acupuncture points for calming our nervous system. So we just gently massage. Don't go too deep. Imagine you were massaging a beautiful little baby. Just gently massaging. Breathing in and out. Whew. And you know, sometimes even breathing can cause anxiety for some people. So if breathing practice doesn't work for you, don't bring attention to the breath. It's okay. You find what's going to work for you. You will. Have confidence. Trust that you will find what works. You will. Another thing that's really helpful is using these temple points. I like to make a finger, my thumb and finger come together like this. So I've got little circles. And I put that little circle right on the temple point. And then I put my 3 fingers on the forehead. Now, these points on the forehead are very important because when we're anxious, a lot of the blood goes into the back of our brain. It goes into what's called the amygdala or the fight, flight, freeze response. And then it's hard for us to think straight. This very simple technique helps the blood come back to the frontal lobe, frontal brain of our brain, and helps us calm. And it helps us see the situation in a different way. Just holding these points, I'm holding this point here and these 3 fingers right on the forehead. You can put your elbows on the table and then you can just feel the warmth in your forehead. And often we will start to feel a shift. And you're going to start to want to look for these shifts. These shifts state that you know are bringing you back to a sense of calm. Okay. Last nice thing to do is just shoulder self-massage. This can be really helpful and really nice. So I massage my shoulders, I massage the base of my neck. I can kind of take out the gunk, just taking the stuff out of my shoulders. We sit at computers, we sit at our desks, we're writing, we're stressed. One of the biggest stress and anxiety response is this. We draw the shoulders up towards the ears, creates so much tension. So even if we're not feeling stressed and our shoulders are tense, that can give a feedback to us that we're actually feeling tension or feeling anxiety. Even if we're not in a stressful situation, just the body feedback gives us this information. So there's some really simple energy movement exercises. We did the throwdown with voice, with noise. We did the blowout, or ha, or whatever sound you like. We did a crossover. We massaged the temple points. We used the frontal points here, holding it with the temple point and doing some breaths, resting the elbows on the table if you need to. And then just gentle self-massage. So these are some ways that we can take care of ourselves and shift our states if we're feeling really anxious. And then that can allow us to do another practice to see what we need to learn to take care of ourselves, and maybe that there's some action that the anxiety is asking us to take. Just like that dragon, we want to look it in the face and say, "Dear dragon, what do you need to teach me today?" So let's do another practice. This is the iREST practice, or integrative restoration practice. And we have about 20 minutes or so for this practice. I'd ask you to find a very comfortable position for yourself. This is not about a meditation that you have to sit up straight and have your spine up and be in a seiza position, cross-legged position. This is a practice which is nourishing, nurturing, quieting, loving. So we want to be in a position that gives us a real sense of comfort. So you could do this practice lying down with a pillow under your head. Now, the biggest issue is that you might fall asleep. In meditation, we are learning concentration and also doing lots of investigations. So we don't want to fall asleep in meditation. In iREST, we are okay if we fall asleep. If we fall asleep at the beginning of iREST, the body needs sleep. So it's actually a good way for people to get to sleep. A lot of people use iREST practice to help them with sleep. So I'm not worried about if you fall asleep. If you snore, we're on Zoom. No one's going to hear you. So you find a comfortable position. You can be lying down, you could be sitting, you could be standing, you can be walking. You can be looking out the window. You can have your eyes open or your eyes closed. You can make yourself as completely comfortable as you need. Take a moment to do that now. Now, as you've found your posture, there's a nobility in the practice. There's a trust and a confidence that you can do this. You can do this. And you set your intention. You set your intention, whatever it is, to learn something, to feel something, to help yourself understand anxiety better, to learn some tools for anxiety, to learn about awareness. Whatever your intention is, set that now and know that it is achievable. Now, the wonderful thing about humans is that we can take our attention to so many things. And we can take our attention with our eyes open or our eyes closed. So I'll just ask you now to take your attention to maybe around your room. Just look around your room. You bring your attention to your room. There might be windows, there might be floors, doors, furniture. Just looking around your room, you're bringing your attention to different objects in the room. And you shift your attention. So you look at one thing, then you look at another thing. Then you can look at another thing. And you can shift attention from one thing to another thing. Now, as we shift attention, we also become aware. We become aware of what it is we are attending to. So, become aware of what you are regarding or attending to or putting your attention on. Become aware of that. So we have the object and the attention, whatever you're looking at, the floor or the ceiling or the furniture. And then we have the awareness, the knowing that we're attending to it. Now that knowing is extremely powerful because when we have the knowing, when we have the awareness, we're no longer caught in whatever is going on. We can step back. We can step back to awareness. This is very important. Feel into the knowing of what you are regarding. You have awareness. This is amazing capacity of humans to step back and be aware. So now we will do a body scan using our attention and our awareness, bringing it to different parts of the body. And as I name the body part, just bring your attention there, bring your awareness there, nothing to change, nothing to do, nothing to fix. We're developing attention and we're developing awareness. We're using the body scan to do this. And if judgment arises in your mind about anything that's going on in the body, acknowledge it. Let it be there. It's fine. It's just giving you information. We don't need to pay attention to it right now. So as I name a body part, bring your attention and bring your awareness. So your face, your eyebrows and forehead, the right eye and the left eye, the nose, the lips, the teeth, the mouth, the tongue, the ears, and the head. Now make sure that you're staying with the practice and that your mind is not wandering and that you are not having a bunch of thoughts. Just stay with the practice of bringing your attention and your awareness to the different body parts. Your whole head, your neck, your shoulders, the right and the left, the right arm, the right elbow, the right lower arm, the right wrist, hand, and fingers, the left shoulder, the left upper arm, the left elbow, the left lower arm, the left wrist, hand, and fingers, the chest and upper back, the abdomen, middle and lower back, the whole torso, the pelvis, staying with the practice, staying with attention and awareness, the right hip, the right upper leg, the right knee, the right lower leg, the right ankle, the right foot, the left hip, the left upper leg, the left knee, the left lower leg, the left ankle, the left foot, the whole left side of the body, from the head all the way down to the foot, the arm, the torso, the legs, the hands, the whole left side of the body, the whole right side of the body, from the head all the way down the arm to the hand, all the way down the torso, all the way down to the foot, the whole right side of the body, the whole left side of the body, the whole right side of the body. Gaining strength in shifting our awareness and attention, the whole right side, the whole left side, the front of the body, the back of the body, and the whole body, from the head, neck, shoulders, all the way down the arms to the hands, the torso, the hips, the legs, and the feet, the whole body. Feeling the body on the support, either on a chair, or if you're standing, your feet on the floor, if you're lying, the whole body laying on the ground. And now, bringing attention to the breath. And if breath is difficult, then go back to a body part that feels very comfortable and very comforting. For those of us who want to work with body movements of breath, let's breathe in and breathe out. So we pay attention moment by moment with all the minutiae and care that we would give a newborn baby to an inhalation, an exhalation, and the feeling of the body. Feeling of the inhalation, feeling of the exhalation, and feeling the whole body. Staying closely with ourselves, carefully, carefully, carefully monitoring our awareness, being with ourselves for the inhalation, the exhalation, and the whole felt sense of the body. Now, it's very important for us to develop strong feelings of comfort, safety, ease. And to do this, we can actually bring our imagination to a certain event in our life or a person, someone we feel very close to or very comfortable with. Someone, when they look at us, we feel their love. Or maybe a place that you love, palm trees, mountains, lakes, rivers. Maybe it's a golden retriever wagging its tail, or kittens, puppies, newborn babies. Feeling good, warm, fuzzy feelings. Feeling where these are in the body. Really paying attention, not just the idea, not just the imagination, but being aware of the feeling sensation in the body. So bring to mind something that makes you feel warm, cozy, safe, happy, contented, calm, peaceful. An image, friend, a person, a pet, a place, whatever works for you. This we call the inner resource or safe place. And developing these feelings of calm are very, very important. Knowing what it feels like in the body, knowing what it feels like. So we fill these imaginations out. Some people are good with visualizations. For some people, it's more difficult. So we feel this out. So we really feel this sensation of fuzzy warmth. Feel where you feel it. Do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your hands? Do you feel it in your feet? Do you feel it behind your eyes? Just bring your attention everywhere you feel fuzzy, warm, calm. And know that you can return here anytime. This is always here for you, the inner resource or safe place. So now we're going to play with the nervous system just a little bit, just so that we can start to taste what it means to shift states. So if things get too much, you go back to the inner resource right away. You do not let anything become too much, too anxious, too overwhelming. You go back to the inner resource, the warm fuzzies, the happy puppies, the cute kitties, whatever works for you to make you feel really comfortable, cozy, warm. Let's bring attention back to the mouth. Feel the mouth. Feel the saliva, the wetness, the warmth in the mouth, the throat open. Feel the mouth, the warmth, the saliva, the throat open. Now just imagine, very just gently, imagine anxiety. We can feel the throat closing, the mouth gets dry. Now, go back to your warm fuzzy, comfort, care. Go back to what makes you feel very contented. We're going to shift states. We're learning some pliancy or flexibility in our nervous system. Feel the mouth wet, saliva, throat open. Now, feel the mouth dry, tight, throat closing, little bit, not too much, just a little bit. Titrate it so that it's manageable for yourself. Now go back, warm, cozy. Recall that image that you brought up, the person, the place. So we have two symptoms. We have that symptom of the throat open, the mouth wet, and the throat closed, tense, mouth dry. That's one symptom. And we can be flexible with that. We can move it and change it by bringing in feelings of warmth and comfort. Now, let's try one more symptom, one more physical symptom, physical expression of anxiety. Let's maybe use the abdomen. So the abdomen, open, soft, the breath moving, feeling rise and fall with the breath, being in the place of inner resource. And now, let's just bring a few little butterflies into the stomach. Not very much, just a few little butterflies. And to do this, you could even just imagine a very minor event. Like for me, I call it the burnt toast day. I know if I burn my toast, it might be a rough day. So just a minor event that might bring up a little bit of tension. Feel the butterflies in the stomach. Just touch in. You don't have to go full blown. Just touch in. Now, come back to those warm fuzzies. Imagine the place that gives you comfort. The puppy dogs, the kitties, the baby smile. Rest there. Feel the abdomen. Feel the warmth. Feel the breath. Good. Let's just touch in a little bit again to those butterfly feelings. Oh, here it comes. Little bit of butterfly. Go right back to warm fuzzy, comfort, care, contentment. And in this way, we train our nervous system. We do these things over and over again so that we really feel into a sense of connection, contentment, and really cultivating these states, growing these states as if we were going to grow a garden, growing these states of comfort in ourselves to be with some difficult physical symptoms. So we can do this practice with many physical symptoms, always coming back to body sensations of comfort. We can also do this practice with thoughts, and we can do this practice with beliefs. We do it from the point of view of awareness. We don't allow ourselves to get subsumed in the anxiety. We stay big, vast, the awareness that can hold whatever arises in that place of calm. So that's the paradox, that we stay big and vast, calm, able to see whatever comes up and let it play itself out. Be there with it in a very kind, loving way. So perhaps at another time we can work with thoughts and emotions and beliefs. But we've had a little bit of a taste of body sensations that come up when we may feel anxiety. And you've done this. You did this very well. You've learned something. You've gone from the place of doing a body scan to feeling the breath, to imagining an inner resource, a safe place, to imagining a symptom of anxiety, and then coming back to that safe place, that inner resource. Know that you've done this. Know that you can do this. Have the confidence. Feel yourself lying on the support. If you're lying down, sitting on your chair, start to bring some movement into your hands, into your feet. Kind of review what you've learned. Just review a little bit of what you learned before you open your eyes. And now look around, bring your attention, and you still have your awareness to some of the things in your room, walls and floors, ceiling, furniture, moving your arms and your legs and your feet, yawning, taking a deep breath. we're going to take maybe a 2-3 minute break. If you need to make a note, if you need to have a glass of water or go to the bathroom, bio break, please do. And then we will open the chat for some questions. Breathing, looking around your room, moving, stretching, wiggling around, doing some of those movements that we did at the beginning. Couple minutes. How are you doing? How are we all doing? Just checking in. I know my anxiety is a lot better than when I started this talk. I feel like I've gotten to know you all, even though I can't even see you. I've got a few names that I can see. Taking a sip of water, breathing, moving your arms and legs, maybe moving your head a little bit, doing some of the shoulder massage. Some things coming in on the chat. I just want to summarize 3 points. Phil asked for 3 takeaway points. So the first point is that anxiety is a messenger that can give us information about what course of action we need to take, but it can get too much, it can get overwhelming. So we have to use any resource we can to shift our states. And so whatever that is, washing your hands, breathing, putting on music, art, poetry, whatever it is that works for you. If you're feeling overwhelmed, shift states. If you feel you can cope and work with yourself in a different way, using the inner resource practice or this safe place meditation practice can be very helpful. Getting this sense of awareness so that we get bigger than the anxiety, bigger than the physical symptom, and able to shift states. Learning this pliancy of shifting states back and forth. Very, very helpful for our nervous system. So that's the first thing. Use whatever resources work for you. The second point is, if you feel you are checking out and it's hard for you to check back in, checking out and checking in are very important aspects to anxiety. It's called dissociation. And if that's something that's going on, it can be very helpful to work with a therapist to help you learn when you've checked out and when you're checking back in. So we've done about an hour and a half today of talk and different practices. And remember, this is a practice. Just like playing the piano, we get better at this and our nervous system gets more flexible. We start to move the needle from way over anxiety back to more states of calm. So we want to learn how to do that. But dissociation can be one of the places where it's tough to learn, because if we're checked out, we can't get back in to really do the work or do the practices. So please get help that you need if that's going on for you. And the third thing is, what we did was we held an experience. We held symptoms of anxiety, like a dry throat or flutters in the chest or in the tummy. in the bigger picture of awareness from the point of view of calm. Now, this is a very important skill. Once you've learned it, you will always have it, and you can learn it. So we don't hold anxiety from the point of anxiety. It's too overwhelming. It's too much. We hold anxiety from the larger picture of calm, from the inner resource, from our healing place, from our safe place, or from this wide, vast awareness that is big enough to care for whatever is rising for us. I'd just like to finish with something that I often do if I'm feeling anxious is I'll put music on and I'll listen to it and I'll sing along. I'll dance around my room. It's a wonderful way to shift states. So I've been listening a lot to a Canadian musician named Beverly Glenn Copeland. And I'd like to read the lyrics from one of the songs that I've been listening to quite frequently. And thank you, Maya, for putting it up on the screen. Now, there is some Italian, and I'm not going to read Italian and destroy Italian because maybe someone's out there who can really read Italian. I think Maya said she could read Italian, but I will read the translation of the Italian. For love, listen to the cantor, he who sings, that life is beautiful. Peace, peace, life is sweet. Thank you, from the heart, thank you. And I work all day and night. I wonder if I'm ever going to get it right. I push and I push to get ahead. I know I got to make my daily bread. I know I don't have time to lose. I wonder if I really have time to choose. I barely have time to shed a tear. I hardly have time to shake the fear. And the body says, remember, you got to breathe. And the body says, take the time to grieve. The mind says, let the silence flow. The mind says, allow yourself to grow. The spirit says, cast your eyes above. The spirit says, fill your heart with love. The heart says, seek the light within. The heart says, let the dance begin. And my mother says to me, enjoy your life. 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 For love, listen to the cantor, he who sings that life is beautiful. My mother says to me, enjoy your life, darling.
Oh, that was lovely. That was a beautiful way to conclude that. Thank you, Paula.
I'm sorry, Christine, I can't hear you. Are you muted?
No, I'm not. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I'm so sorry, I can't hear.
I have my mute off.
Okay.
Mute.
You can hear Christine. Maya, I'm not sure why I can't hear. I don't have sound.
Can you hear me? You probably accidentally just clicked on, if you have...
Maya, maybe can you come on and see what we can do?
Hi, Paula. I'm speaking,
Yeah,
but...
I don't have your sound either. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Let me see. Try again.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent.
Oh,
Okay. Take it away, Christine.
thank you, Paula. Beautiful practices. Thank you for the past hour. It's just been so much and such great tangible practices for everybody listening. What a wonderful way to spend our evening with you, just giving us such concrete practices, because I think we can spend a lot of time in our own heads and thinking about anxiety and understanding and knowing the effects of stress. And we all know that. And yet to have such tangible ways to help us deal with it is just so beneficial. I actually am trained in iREST yoga nidra as well, because it was a big part of my practice in helping me deal with my anxiety, because I had the chronic worries and just the chronic overthinking. And so for me, working and better understanding the practice of iREST and the benefits helped me so much. So maybe you could talk a little bit about the practice of iREST yoga nidra and how it's different than traditional yoga nidra.
That's a very good question. And, you know, yoga nidra is like everything in Buddhism and in yoga. There are not one practice. There's practices. There's thousands of practices. So there's the Shivananda school, there's the Bihar school, there's, you know, there's so many different schools. So for us to say what is the one yoga nidra, I think what Richard Miller has done is he's taken modern psychology and he's put modern psychology into the practices of yoga nidra. Yoga nidra would have brought our awareness to body parts, sensations in the body. These are the classic teachings of yoga and Buddhism. What makes us human? Body sensations, thoughts, emotions, and also all the input, all the sensory input, like our vision, our hearing, and beliefs. So these are, in yoga, these are all different, what we call the koshas, or the sheaths of the body. So I think what Richard did so well is he took modern psychological theory and really blend that in, and also was able to really blend some of the ideas of the practices of calming, finding safe place, which is often used in modern psychology, inner resource, using visualization techniques that have been used in psychology. So he's just melded a lot of these traditions to make it a very powerful practice. And I should mention, as you know, Christine, you know, the practice is there's a 10-step protocol for an iREST, full iREST practice. I felt tonight it was just better for us to use some of the body movements, because body movement out of Qigong can be very helpful for shifting states very quickly. And sometimes anxiety is just a little too overwhelming for people to do a practice. I mean, you just are not feeling well enough to lie down on the ground and or to sit in a chair and bring awareness in. So I think it's helpful to have both things. And also, if we are dissociating, we're not going to be able to stay with ourselves long enough to do a iREST or a yoga nidra. I really feel that so many of us are meditating or doing these practices and we're feeling a sense of calm, but the sense of calm is actually dissociation. It's not the practice, it's not meditation. So I feel that that's a very important aspect to why I didn't do the full 10-step protocol. And also, I think for people who are just learning the protocol, it's just nice to be able to step into one sensation without recalling. You know, often in iREST, we will recall a time, which is also another very, very powerful tool. James Hillman used it in psychology work, where you're visualizing a time in your life that you've had anxiety, and then you're kind of reworking it, you know, reimagining it, feeling in your system. Now that when you're doing that over Zoom, I just would not want to do that, because sometimes people would be just having, you know, things can be, you could go to some of these areas that are too overwhelming, too much. And these are not things that I necessarily would want to do on a Zoom call. You know, this is something that's much worked with better with someone that you're close to, or someone that you can trust, or a psychotherapist, or someone who's trained in yoga nidra who can, or iREST, who can do it on a one-on-one basis. So that's why I didn't do the full 10-step protocol, but we in all of these ideas of awareness and the body sensations, those fundamentals are really important when learning the practice.
Well, exactly. And just further to that point, we had a question from someone, Paula, who said, as it relates to exactly what you're talking about, what do I do if I can't settle on a safe place or find my inner resource? Is it better to just return to awareness, brackets, the 5 things that I've noted in my surroundings?
Perfect. the most important thing is working with what works for you. And then you develop the confidence and you develop the skill that you know you can shift your state. And the more confidence and the more skill that you will have more tools. So use tools that work and strengthen them. And then when those tools are strong, you can bring in other tools. There's no one right way. There's no one right way. We have thousands of practices, thousands of energy medicine practices, thousands of meditation practices, thousands of concentration practices. Why are there so many practices? Because right now we have, what, 8 billion people on the planet. So every single person is going to find what works for them. And that's up to you. That's not up to me. I cannot tell you what is going to work. I can give you some skills, give you some tools, give you some guidance. But if you don't do it, if you don't work in it and see what works for yourself, it's like, well, what's your favorite food? It's like having chocolate cake in the cupboard and not eating it. You got to, you got to kind of take a taste, right? Do the practice.
Completely. And that's just through experience and really seeing, like you said, what works for me. And there's a question when we think about that, is this a practice that you can do when you are acutely anxious, or can it also be a formal practice where you relive a previous stressed moment?
Excellent question. You're so smart. You've answered your question because I think you know the answer. And the answer is yes. Mm-hmm. So remember, when you're acutely stressed, if you are overwhelmed, use practices to bring yourself back. Especially if you're dissociating, learn how to bring yourself back so that you're checked in. You're not going to be able to necessarily do a meditation practice if you're checked out. Anxiety can be overwhelming, so do what you can do to bring yourself back. Now, sometimes acute anxiety, like I said, I was quite anxious thinking about this talk, but I've done this practice a lot that I was able to just be with myself. I sat down, I felt into the body sensations, I was aware of the thoughts. I felt, what did I need to learn from that? So I was able to do the practice with acute anxiety because I wasn't overwhelmed. I wasn't taken out. Right? I wasn't checked out. Now, the best thing to do is to do the practice when you're not anxious, when you're calm, and then your nervous system will learn this pliancy, will learn this flexibility. So even doing this practice 5-10 minutes every day, where you're just imagining something, start with something small. Don't chew on the really big anxious things right away. Give yourself the opportunity to start with burning the toast. That's what I said, is like, I know the day is going to be crazy if I burn the toast and then I blow up. It's just not, like it's just burnt toast, Paula, like chill. But it's that kind of thing. It's, let's start with something small, start with just something that gives you a little bit of,
Exactly.
Yeah. And then develop the nervous system pliancy. And yes, bringing to mind things that create anxiousness when you're not in that situation will help you with the situation. We know that from psychology, and we know that from ourselves. So, we can do this practice, say, for example, if we have to have a discussion with someone that we're anxious about, we can just bring that discussion in our mind from the point of view of calm, from the point of view of inner resource, from the point of view of awareness, and play it through many, many different ways, many different times, with lots of different possibilities, so that we're kind of in a different prepared way. So we don't have to go into a conversation with someone that we're worried about without having kind of practiced it, without having kind of played it out. So it's so beneficial to just do it. So you've answered your own question. Yes. Do it when you're acutely anxious, or if you're anxious, do something else. And then, yes, practice it and bring to mind something that makes you anxious or that can bring up anxiety, and then rework it. Just rework it until the charge is gone. And that is the true learning of the nervous system, where we can hold the situation without that charge. And that is possible. I know it seems really hard to believe, but that is possible.
And have you really been able to find that in your own journey, from like what you said, where you were just into yoga and the movements, and then as you deepened your understanding of like some of these practices that you shared, was that the turning point for you? Like, what was one of the big turning points for you in your practice?
I have to be honest, Christine, for me, it's been a lifelong practice. So, so often in Western medicine, we want the instant cure, and I've had many turning points in my own life and in my own practice that have brought me so much goodness. And sometimes that goodness is not necessarily pleasant.
Right.
So I think in my own personal life, it took me a long time. It probably took me 17 years to recognize my own dissociation. But once I was able to recognize my own dissociation, I was able to be with myself in a much different way. So that was very huge for me. And then working with many different teachers, because I'm just one of these people that I have to learn it from a bunch of different ways. So I've studied with so many people. I've heard it in so many different ways from so many different approaches. So I've just got a thick skull, it just takes a long time to go in. But I think it's a testament that really the nervous system needs time to change. And we change in the time and the way that we're ready for. We cannot force things. We have to be very kind, very gentle to ourselves. We're always going to have the thoughts that I should be better, I should be farther along, I should be doing more, I should be, something should be right, more right. Those are okay. Those are just thoughts. They're not necessary. They have nothing to do with who we are. And it takes the time it takes. It's like, we often use these metaphors. When we grow a garden, we till the soil, we add the compost. We don't plant the garden in winter. We wait till the spring. We water it. We use nurturing for the garden. We tend the garden. The sprouts come out. We have to kind of take out some of the things so that other stuff can grow more. We don't want all those carrots smushed in together. We got to take out a few carrots to give more room for other carrots to grow. Then we can have the harvest. This is a great learning of Taoism, of Qigong, of Chinese medicine. Everything has its time and place. And we have got this idea we want it right away, right now. Things are a learning. Things are a learning. And we as humans have this absolute incredible capacity for learning. So, I would say it's been an ongoing process, Christine. There's not one thing that I could point to, but I think just for me, the biggest thing, just to summarize, was that dissociative piece. Once I recognized that, it totally changed my ability to be with myself.
Right. And I think, there's someone here in the chat that's asking, where would I find a therapist who can help me learn this? Like, what would you recommend?
That is such a great question. And so many good psychotherapists are now being trained in trauma, because there is a relationship between trauma and dissociation. Dissociation is a really, really good skill to have. We just check out when things get too much. It's actually really good. It saves our tail so many times. It's an amazing skill, but it also limits our capacity to be in the world in a full way. So one thing I might do is do an interview. It also depends on, because therapy can be expensive. So if you've got a drug plan that's going to cover therapy, that's great. If you've got an EAP or employment assistance program that will help cover your therapy, that is great. If you don't, then there's lots of really good programs in the city through Calgary Counseling, Catholic Family Services, Jewish Family Services. There's a whole host of counseling. What you want to do is you want to interview your counselor and make sure that they're trauma informed and that they've got an experience with body awareness practice. It's really great to find when you go and look on therapist sites, have they got a mindfulness practice? Have they done somatic experiencing? Are they interested in trauma-informed therapy? So these are some of the kind of the key words that you might find when you're looking for a therapist. Other therapists might be really interested in what's called polyvagal theory, which is another big theory in psychological treatment therapy. So I think it just takes some time to research. The other thing, people who are trained in a process called somatic experiencing. Somatic means the body, experiencing is the experiencing of the body. And this is a practice that was started by a man named Peter Levine. And if you have experienced trauma or are dissociating, looking up Peter Levine, doing some research about somatic experiencing is very beneficial, and also very much what we draw on in Yoga Nidra, in iREST. There is such a blending right now of the ancient yoga and Buddhist traditions with psychotherapy. So you could go to the somatic experiencing website. I'm not sure how many somatic experience trained clinicians there are in Calgary, but I haven't looked for quite a while. So that's what I would do, either somatic experiencing, if you can afford therapy, or you've got a plan that will cover therapy, look for a therapist that is interested in mindfulness-based work and also interested in body-based work, or look for someone who's trained in somatic experiencing. Those are important. Someone who's got a trauma therapy or trauma-informed care. I hope that answers the question. I'm not going to give out names or anything right now, but just even doing a search, trauma-informed therapy, trauma-informed psychotherapy, Calgary, will give you a lot of names.
And there's just a question here. If you could share your thoughts about NICABM.
Right. Yes, I like their videos. I get their emails. I think it's a really good way to learn about trauma. A lot of the people that I've studied with, like Stephen Porges, develops polyvagal therapy, polyvagal theory, talks with them. So yeah, that's a good resource.
And what is it, Paula? Maybe you could just give a bit of background.
Sure. It's, well, let me just pull it up for you all. I'm sure the person who asked the question could answer it. Basically, it's run by a woman who has a lot of interviewing. There we go. National Institute for Clinical Application of Behavioral Medicine. So there you go. Thank you. So this man right here is Peter Levine and Stephen Porges. So in the bottom corner, there's Stephen Porges, Why the Vagal System Holds the Key to Treatment. So Pat Ogden has developed a lot of these. Tara Brock teaches with Jack Cornfield. Bessel van der Kolk has developed Why the Body Keeps the Score. That's an excellent book for trauma. So this is all out there. It's an amazing, amazing time. So there's so many resources, so many resources.
That's great. Thank you. So I don't see that there are any other questions. So maybe what we can do is just put one final call out, or if there's any final thoughts, Paula, that you want to share before we wrap up. You gave a great summary, but
I would give that summary again, I think, just of the talk, because sometimes when we're learning something new, it's really important to just review it in our mind. That's the way we learn. So often we'll go and do something or take a course and we don't review it. So it's important to review it. So even if you have 5 minutes after this call, you just review it for yourself. One thing that you feel is going to be really useful for you. So what I will say first is have confidence and trust in your own human capacity to learn. You can do this. Just always know that. Come back to that. The second thing is review some of the movements and find a movement that really works for you. And always do it with care and kindness. I often think as if I was going to be treating a young infant, a baby, taking care of myself in the most kind and compassionate way. So if there's a movement that worked for you, just review that. Review what happened with yourself during this iREST Yoga Nidra practice, particularly when we were investigating the body sensations, and know that body sensations can be shifted So review what you did to find your safe place, to find your place of ease and calm, or to find your inner resource. Coming back to that place of calm, shifting into one sensation of anxiety, and then shifting immediately back. Review if that worked for you. I'd be very interested to know in the chat if people found that practice and kind of had it work for them, because that is very, very important to our own neuro flexibility. And the last thing I would say is that if anxiety is severe, you are not alone. Do not feel alone. We are in an age where things are anxious. It's normal to have anxiety in anxious times, but it's also very normal for us to be able to shift our state so that we come to any difficulty from a state of calm, from a state where our full brain, our full body, we are just totally online and alive and can meet the situation with the wholeness of who we are. Anxiety shifts us into our fear mode, and that makes us behave and act in ways that are not always in our best and highest good or for others. So that's what I would say. Just trust yourself, have confidence, and review something that worked for you today, and then practice it, do it, learn it, know that you can do it.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you. It's been so wonderful. It's just been a great evening. I know that you've given so much tonight of your wisdom and your practices, and I'm certain that we have taken a lot from this to find our own way on the path. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Beautiful evening. Just a reminder for the people that are still on the call that you can sign up for our bi-weekly newsletter, which sends out reminders for upcoming talks and also when previous talks have been posted. So you can visit us again at wtm.thebreathproject.org. We'll just send you emails about great talks like this and what's up and coming. But just a reminder, please join us on Thursday, May 6th with Dr. Phil Bluestein using weight on the path of mindfulness. So again, much thanks and gratitude to the Calgary Library and you, Maya, for hosting us again and keeping everything running so smoothly. And of course, you, Paula, for just a wonderful evening and all the wisdom you've shared with us tonight. So thank you so much. It's just been my pleasure.
You're welcome. I'll just say, we have the resources in the chat. Anxiety Canada, thank you for posting that, Maya. Anxiety Canada is a really good website. Lots of information about anxiety, lots of practices, uses mindfulness. Some of the names that we mentioned tonight, NCAB, that's a great resource. Jack Cornfield, Daniel Siegel, iREST. So, if you've just dipped your toe in tonight, know there's a giant ocean just waiting for your healing.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, everyone.